saying Mike's about to blow though. Tell me something that I
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Yes, dude. Here with Vinny Sauce Stellato.
Right.
Soon to be legally Vinny Sauce Stellato is what I just learned.
Yep. Changing the middle name legally. It's happening.
It's
Put it out there now.
You gotta do it.
It flows well.
Yeah, it does.
That's a nice flow.
Well,
to it.
I literally just call him Vinny Sauce.
True.
I think the first year I knew you, I literally thought your last name was Sauce.
Did you? Most people do. They're like, man, you have a different name. Like, people I know except years. I'm like, yeah, I do. It's Stellato. Little Cammy sauce right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Cam dominating some ice cream last night. It was pretty impressive. Is that good? Is that good ice cream last night? He licks the mic. He licks the mic.
It's like his ice cream last night. I did the same thing.
He was going at the ice cream last night. So we're in Minooka, Illinois.
Yes.
It feels like we're in the middle of just like cornfields, but
we are
we're
in the fields right now.
Yeah, we are in the fields.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah, this is just moved in there. This is the Sauce Ranch. It's the Sauce Ranch in the making.
Yes.
Sounds dirty.
Log cabin, soon to be rink. It's yeah.
He gave us a sneak peek of the stuff he's going to be building in the back.
Yes.
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be a factory.
Basically, we have to come back here when this is like
Dude,
in the making or made.
100%.
That'd
Yeah.
be sick.
Yeah, imagine Rob Dyrdek Fantasy Factory, but hockey style.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. dude.
So
Ridiculous.
that's the vision.
So we've been hanging out with Vinny. Well, Vinny put us up in a hotel our first day in Chicago too. Been rollerblading up and down the Lake Michigan there. And you also met up with us when we were with Stephen Johns
Yes.
too. Grabbed some mental miles. I mean, that's like your home arena there, going up those paths. No,
The stomping
That is
grounds.
the spot.
Yeah.
Lake, down the lake, Chicago, the whole lakefront's just, public. So it's just trails, beautiful skyline in the background.
I need to get all three of you guys.
Hey, look
Cam's
at
a
that one.
photographer right
Cam,
now.
Mr. Cam, look in there. That's the
Look at the
camera
camera,
playing
look at
right
the camera.
there. So yeah, that's one of my favorite places. I lived in Chicago for 8 years, played college hockey in Chicago. So the lakefront, it's even worse. I used to bring the sauce kit before I even started the company, just going to play on the beach right there. So yeah, that's my home rink right there.
Yeah, see, I should have done a bigger introduction. Yeah, guys, Vinny created the sauce kit. The
So
hockey sauce kit. If you don't already know that, he's got all the gear on. So, and that's something that we wanted to. We're excited, and you said you don't get to talk about it a lot. It's like the entrepreneurial side of like what you did,
Yes.
because we're all hockey lovers. Like we all love creating content and stuff like that. I mean, and what we're doing is literally just creating content. Like we don't have a
Yes.
product like you have.
Yep.
But in order to survive, you have to have that entrepreneurial brain. Like you have to be somewhat financial focused just to make sure you're not buried before you even get started. So that's something that we're currently working through as like kind of a new brand or, attempted lifestyle brand.
Yep.
And we're slowly learning things just on how to build a foundation of a brand. Just to get, like stuff that you have to do or else like a year or two down the line it just crumbles.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, and I know you were talking yesterday about like some of the guerrilla marketing you did earlier in the day. Some of the stuff that would like get the heartbeat going because you don't technically weren't supposed to be there.
One of my favorites.
But can you talk about just a little bit about like the derivation or like how the hockey sauce kit was derived? Like how did you even come up with it? What was the idea? And then like.
Definitely. So, always been, had that entrepreneurial mindset growing up. Loved doing all that stuff. But when I was about 8 years ago, was always a big yard game player, big cornhole player. Used to play in tournaments with my friends. We'd go enter these leagues and all that stuff. And really, I kept searching around. Obviously, being a hockey guy, grew up playing hockey, played college hockey. I kept searching around and seeing like there's no hockey yard game. I'm looking on the internet, finding these things. And I was using the mini knee hockey nets. So, you'd see other people using that stuff. Hey, Gammy. So I started just looking around. There was nothing like it. So that's when I really was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to formulate a product, built it. And that's, again, when I started going to North Avenue Beach, bringing it out there. Also, the Instagram, the hockey Instagram world just started being created. So I was on the forefront of that, creating the pages there, getting it out there. whoop. So yeah, I just, and that was 8 years ago. Just created it, just invested first like $5,000 into it. Started small, started the Facebook, Instagram pages, and started just linking up with people and just started getting out there, posting it. Started small, formulated the business, got a trademark. Those are some of the basic things to get going in the beginning. And then after that, it was just like, again, buy small, sell out, keep going, keep reinvesting, and just kept going that way while I was working a technology job. And at the same time, I was having my first son on the way too, so it was a do or die too. It was like,
it was a busy time.
This is gonna work.
Yeah.
I gotta make this work. And again, wasn't paying myself for years, and then after a couple, about 2-3 years, then I was like, okay, it's starting to get the ball really rolling, and then I just went all in on it.
Yeah. And so then that's when so 2 or 3 years in, is that when you stopped working the technology job on the side as well?
Yeah. So it was a little less, probably about 2 years. And I was still doing other things on the side, like bartending, doing other things to make my ends meet, just to make sure. But I didn't pay myself for like 3 years in. I just kept putting money in, money in. Because, with you buying product, the more you buy, the cheaper you get. So the margins get better, all these things.
Right.
So that was the way, that went. But I really think that's important when starting a business, especially in the first year or two, is you're going to be putting in more than you're ever going to be taking out. That's for sure.
And so you have to know that you're going to be making that sacrifice for a bit at least.
Yes.
So did it help you knowing that you had that extra the extra income working the technology thing, and it wasn't like you're just going at this bare?
Yeah. I mean, it was like I had been in the technology. Right out of college, I got into technology sales. And made good money on it, but I was smart with it because I was always also doing still serving and still bartending, and I just kept saving all the money I made from the technology job. I just would put that away or just save it, so that again I knew I was going to start something. I didn't know what I was going to start. I had a lot of different ideas, and I tried a lot of different other things too.
Could you give an example of some other things that you were thinking about?
Yeah, so definitely. So I mean, I've definitely anything from clothing lines. Different technology products, some things where I had the right ideas, but it was out of my league, and I think so. That was one of the things I always tell people too. It's it's not always the idea; it's the execution. Right. You can have the great idea, but it's how you're going to execute on it, and it doesn't even have to be that big of a different idea. You could just reinvent an existing idea and make it better, and serve it to them better. Again, execution was everything, and that's where I think the success with Sauce was I figured out the digital marketing age early, how to do all the Facebook ads, Instagram ads. It's one of the first hockey companies to ever do it. So I just taught myself and learned it, and that was the execution that separated it. I didn't have to have the stores.
Right.
After years coming in, the stores were coming to me.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was now you see, or in my local pro shop in Rochester, there's the new Bauer 2.0 sauce kits or whatever.
Exactly.
That
Yes.
are retailing there.
And I was selling out online all the time too, because again, my execution was killing it, and it was again Instagram age was blowing up in hockey world, so we were in the forefront of that, working with all the pages. Facebook advertising was beginning, so it was cheap, and we were able to just really target out those hockey people really well.
Right.
So we just kept selling out. So even when the stores were coming to me for years, I just kept telling them no. I'm like, why? I don't need. I don't really
There's
need
no
you
need
guys.
to take that risk, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you're putting them retail in store.
Especially when I'm I can't even get enough product myself to sell.
Right.
So why would I?
Right.
And then that being said, then after probably about 5 years, and I was like, okay, you guys want it that bad, you're gonna have to pay for it up front.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, well, if you want it, I pretty much put them on my terms.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, because this product, what do hockey stores need in the summer? Something to sell.
Yeah.
This is the perfect product to sell.
Yeah.
And most of these times, you got to put up all this product for them and wait to pay 90 to 120 days so they pay you once it sells.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a way longer process. First,
that sounds terrible.
when I sell online, I get paid right away. I get paid before it even ships.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I can turn it over and just keep cooking. So that's what I did. So then I started making them buy up front, and that was one of the first companies.
And they actually started buying up
doing
front.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
So they started buying up front, boom, 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 and then once started moving enough, and then I started developing relationships with banks where I can get lines of credit and stuff like that. Then I actually did say, okay, I will give you some on terms, but again, then they just took forever to pay.
Yeah.
It was that 120 days turned into more. Because they're you're a little guy compared to a bigger company. They're they're going to pay the Bauers and the CCMs before
right.
you.
Because it's that's just all I feel like that happens. This is on a way smaller scale, but like
Yeah.
I'll do like a product placement thing on TikTok.
Yes.
Won't get paid for legit 6 months.
Yes.
Like and
Yes.
this is like $1,300.
Yes.
Like $1,300, you can't pay it like 6 months.
know.
Still haven't seen it, right?
Really, yeah.
And it's like, well, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna sue him? Like, no.
Exactly.
Like, I can't
yeah.
sue him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you spend more in legal fees, things like that, and then they try to work you too in the retail. From my experience, like they may have said that they're going to cover shipping, and then they come back and say, "No, you had to cover shipping." And they start playing these games after. So then that's why I was like, "Okay, pull it out." You know, I'm like, "Fine, pull it all out. Keep selling online," and that's like the early. Then again, that's how I ended up working the partnership with Bauer, because then I was like, okay,
Gotcha.
you know, like I have this thing that everyone wants, not just here in the States or Canada, but all over the world, and I need to find someone that can distribute it and collect the money from it.
Yeah.
Or I could build a team and do it all myself. But that was how I worked the deal with Bauer, to really just make the same amount of money, but have them do it all, and they would just pay me the checks instead. Let them do all the collecting.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And work out some another manufacturing, all that stuff. But that kind of could segue into like one of the stories of one of my favorite entrepreneur stories of like, just sometimes you just gotta go for it. And if you get an opportunity, it might mean you get to drive across the country like you guys are doing right now.
We kind of just went for it.
Yeah, so like that's kind of what Bauer, like kind of the story even in the beginning of Bauer was they wanted to buy some custom kits. You know, we can make custom kits, any logo on our things.
Yeah, custom buttery hockey.
He loved it. My dad owns a print shop, so we do it all in-house. We really take, pride in that and do it really well. So Bauer bought some. They were buying some for an NHL All-Star game down in Tampa a while back.
Wait, was that like the sauce competition
That's
that
what I
there
was
was?
wondering, too.
So
Is that what they were buying it for?
So they were doing like a event in like outside of it.
Okay.
And like in Clearwater Beach, they were doing outside of it, but
They had that like sauce competition like in
so
the
the
thing.
NHL pretty much we were like took our trick shot idea, made their own little version of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that until I got there, and I was like, "What the?" I'm like, "Put me up there, let me
Yeah,
go."
well, and here's Vinny sauce. And
Yeah,
like, he was on real sauce.
just digging them. So then they wanted to buy some, and so instead of shipping them down to Florida, I was like, I'm gonna go meet them. I'm gonna deliver them in person, so that I make sure they get them. Plus, go talk to them about some of the things. Like I had my vision of like, hey, I think there could be something that we could work out to where it would be beneficial for both of us. You guys have distribution around the world. I have a product that everyone wants. Let's figure out a way to make this work for both of us.
And when Vinny says around the world, like I literally had kids messaging me on buttery hockey, like from India, who were using sauce kit.
That's
what I was wondering, like,
people
what?
from Scotland using it, like Ireland, like this is literally around the world.
Sure.
It's not an exaggeration, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those products that you can play anywhere. So it's like, especially in those places where maybe the rinks aren't around, it's something for them to
Like
play.
India,
like India, they can just go bust this out and play anywhere. But to go back, so then me and my buddy who works for me too, Mike, we drove out to Florida, delivered the sauce kits in person to Bauer. Connected, talked to all the people there, and that's really what got the motions going to where it took about 2 to 3 years of like negotiating to get the actual contracts in place. But it launched last year, right during quarantine, which is great timing around the world, mass retail around the world, and everywhere that carries Bauer. So it was went on the limb there, went for it, and sometimes you just gotta go for that stuff. You got a good feeling, you have something of value to to provide, and you just gotta put yourself in the right places.
Yeah, dude. I remember when it launched because like I was like running the TikTok and then all of a sudden I saw always hockey using like the Bauer sauce kit and I was like, oh. And then it was like all these announcements and then I'll like text you and you're like, yeah, the Bauer 2.0, like tell them to get the Bauer 2.0 or whatever. And then it was like around Christmas.
Yeah, right
like,
before
right
Christmas.
Before?
Yeah, so a little before the quarantine. Yeah, a little before Christmas, but again, it was kind of they didn't. It was right around that time. They sold out so quick.
Oh, really?
So it actually kind of worked out for our favors because everyone promoted it. It sold out like at the end of November, and then everyone just went to our website for all December.
Oh, there you go.
So and all through quarantine too, because in the stores didn't order enough. So even though maybe didn't do as much numbers in the stores because they didn't order enough, it actually just helped my business grow. So
because people were trying to get the Bauers, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna go back to the original once they ran out.
Or I actually had stocks of the Bauer.
Oh, you did too.
Yeah, so I had my own stock that I would just ship direct.
Okay.
But the store is all cleaned out.
Damn.
And it was like,
Yeah,
boom,
holy
like
shit.
let the big stores promote for you. You know,
Yeah.
like
Dude.
so
I wish I had this mentality. Like this is what I feel like we kind of lack. Like I love being creative.
yeah.
You know, I love long form media, being able to just like chop it up on a podcast or film a YouTube video or TikTok or whatever. But then like when it comes to making that, like, you know, we're still every day thinking about like, what do we have to do? What are the next steps to make us, you know, financially free enough to continue to do something like this, or we're creating a lifestyle brand. Like we have those same thoughts where it's like we have a clothing line that we are like in the works on, you know, right now.
Yes.
We're wanting to build a website so that we can have all these forms of media kind of on one page.
Yeah.
And
Click that in, Cam. Click that thing in. Cam, my son is here on here. He's just got his iPad and his headphones on, just gaming. Hey, push the nozzle all the way in.
The headphones aren't working.
that's why he's yeah. All right, we got the headphones fixed.
We're back. But yeah, no, I think that's, and sometimes you don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. It will come, the opportunities and stuff will be there, and you'll and again, the landscape changes too. You know, like the demands of consumers change. So that's why I think it's not a horrible thing to like not know exactly, because some things will span off and you'll find opportunities for things. Like even with Saucecat, I thought it was just going to be a yard game. I didn't think the trick shots were going to be probably just as big, if not bigger. Actually, more viral content comes from the trick shots.
Yeah.
I mean, Dude Perfect doing freaking Saucecat trick shots.
Yeah.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago too.
Yeah, that was even probably farther back. It was probably like 5 years ago.
Crazy.
You know, and that was me just, you know, going on a limb, reaching out to them, sending them sauce kits, figuring out that their videographer was a real hockey guy.
Yeah.
So I started contacting with him, connecting him. You know, sometimes you don't have to touch the actual person. You just find someone in their network that you can relate with.
Right.
You know, and that's what I did with that guy. I'm like, hey, this is, you know, hot guy, boom, let's send him out. Didn't hear anything for like, you know, 6 months. You know,
Really?
and then it got blown up because everyone's like, it's in your videos.
No way.
Dude, perfect tailgate trick shots. That was the first time they used it. And everyone just started blowing me up, and it was like, it's in there, you know.
Then they did a full video with, was it Sagan that they did it with or something
Yes,
like that?
Sagan and Jamie Benn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's, you know, they've probably used it in 5 different videos.
And they just built their fantasy factory, like the Dude Perfect, like 2 years ago or something like that.
Amazing.
That's the thing I love about the difference between creators that get big for a year and then the creators that are big for a lifetime is that creators that are big for a lifetime, it's like year to year, you'll see them start to do something different. And you're like, why are they doing that? And then the next year, like, oh, I get it now. They were thinking ahead. Like, they knew that what they were doing was going to get boring. So they just moved right on along ahead. Like, I didn't think what Dude Perfect was doing, the trick shots, was boring yet. But now they have, like, a full TV show with all of these different segments and punishments. And it's even more kid-friendly, which is, like, they wanted to go more kid-friendly, I think.
Yes. Even doing road shows, selling out arenas.
Yeah. It's
like,
nuts.
we went to, me and the boys went to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. Like,
That's
they
crazy.
sold out the arena, and I've never seen, like, every kid had a Dude Perfect hat and shirt on. The line for the gear was just, like, 100 people long. And there was one in every, like, section. We walk out. I'm like, dude, what they create is insane. And it was all, like, dads and kids, and they all could relate, and something like, you know, you and your kids can do together. Like, it could be every age group could be into that stuff. Like,
and it's literally, they were like college roommates that just started shooting basketballs.
Just trick shots.
Yeah.
Now they built the empire.
And yeah, the show was, I didn't even, because again, I watched the trick shots, stuff like that, but I didn't realize how many different, like, characters they have that they make in their YouTube videos of like Crazy Ned or
Ned
this
Forrester.
or that.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, really?
So like when I went to the show, I was like, whoa. I'm like, but like I'm just looking around. This place is filled to the brim, and every kid knows every one of these characters.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy cow! Like this shot, I was amazed.
It's
I'm like,
actually
this
crazy.
is so rad. I mean, now they have the contracts with Nerf, and I mean, they sell all these products, and
I think it's almost funny now. So it used to be like you'd see this YouTuber or something like that, and you're like, why does this person not have a TV show? You know? And then now you look at Dude Perfect, and you're like, the reason creators like that don't have a TV show is because what they're doing right now is already a TV show.
Yeah.
Kids watch it religiously.
Yes, YouTube more than TV shows.
More than TV shows.
Way
TV
more.
is on the way out, dude.
It is.
I mean, if you think about, like, you as a as the businessman, as the owner of Hockey Sauce Kit, like,
Yeah.
like me at least right now, I would value like creators on social media that are reaching hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of kids
Yep.
with one video on TikTok
Yep.
over a 30-second spot on NBC.
Definitely.
Which is like a completely different demographic. Most
Yeah.
of the time, it's like older than 50, unless you're watching a hockey game and then NBC Sports. It's like
No.
But even then, the commercial comes on and you're on
And
your
you're on
phone
TikTok.
watching TikToks.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
It's hard to watch TV. I don't even like watching the commercials anymore. You know, like hockey's like one of the only things.
Yeah.
Right.
And then shows that you can stream, but then you don't have commercials.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, like, yeah, I mean, we've looked into, like, because we run lots of ads in a lot of different places. I've looked into doing the NHL network ads and stuff like that. I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It actually, like, because I'm sure that they still charge through the roof for their slots.
pretty high, yeah.
Yeah.
And you see the commercials on there suck. It's like, it's NHL network, like, it's so brutal, those commercials, like, catheters and this shit. You know,
Well,
like-
yeah, literally. But you were what was the commercial where you were sliding in the slip and slide? That
Yes.
was on,
So that we just that was a Truly, and that was a Stanley Cup commercial.
that was sick.
So yeah, that was pretty rad.
Jeez.
So that was something I got a little out the. That's trying to start build up Vinny Sauce a little more, to be more of a creator like you guys yourself. For so long, I kept Vinny Sauce and myself away from the brand, but then I started seeing the value of being, having that be part of it, having to be building off of it. And I guess I had the confidence to do it as well, because I was a little skeptical to do it when I was, a 25-year-old kid starting this company. And I wanted to make it look like a big company. And I was also competing against, other companies that were bigger companies trying to rip me off. Right. So I was, trying to make it all about the brand. But then fast forward a couple, now, doing stuff like that, it's like another revenue stream, but it's also another way to, like, again, I got between Truly and like Apple, I was able to work deals and work my product into these commercials.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, not only was I getting paid to do it, and then Vinny Sauce get it out there, I was also able to like work my product into free placement in there, which normally would cost millions of dollars.
Right.
So again, I was like, that's like kind of like you said, like business aspect. There's so many ways that you can have it, build off of it, figure out ways to get those free advertising. That's what I think, especially in the beginning, it's so important. Not just to like pay all this money to do all these things. You have to work outside the box. You have to do the guerrilla marketing. You have to like think of ways to get your product out there that won't cost.
Right.
And that could be doing stuff like that. That could be, adding value to all these other people that so then they, reciprocate it back, or you hope that they reciprocate it back. I think that's extremely important, especially in the beginning. Like you really, and I think consistently continue to do it. Mm-hmm. But once you got revenue, once you can spend the bucks to have advertising be going to. But think of ways outside the box to get it out there, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. That just makes my mind wander. I was like, okay, now.
How do we do all
Yeah.
this?
How can we
Yes. Yeah. Like, so one other story I was telling you guys a little bit last night. Like, again, this was investment. When I bought a sauce wagon van. It's a big van. It's pretty much a driving billboard. Mm-hmm. And we would do all our road shows with, because I would go to every rink around the country. We'd do all the tournaments. We'd do all the expos. We'd do all that stuff. So it was investment for that, to use it for that. But also I knew that I was going to start pulling up on these NHL rinks and just starting to set up a whole activation. And I wasn't asking for permission. I was just doing it. So I was just pulling up to Stanley, Stanley Cup was in Pittsburgh. All right. We drove there the day before. I just set up on the, gate 6 and just set up a whole area. And the people would come over there and they'd be like, "You're supposed to be here?" I'm like, yeah, my boss, supposed to be here. Da, da, da. It's just like someone, getting paid, $15 an hour to just like do this. They didn't really, you just act like you're supposed to be there, and then they just let you go. Well, so we set up all these things, but then it kind of got moved up to the higher ups, and then someone in the suit came out and was like, "What? What are you doing out here?" I'm like, what? We actually just sold the Pittsburgh Penguins some sauce kits like a month before.
Oh, really?
So I was like, "Oh, we just sold sauce kits. They said we could set up." It's kind of, it's like, "No, you really can't. It's supposed to be here." I'm like, "What? I'm like, you guys really like you were gonna probably pay someone to do this. Why don't you just let us do it?" Long story short, I'm like, he's like, no. I'm like, all right, how many sauce kits is it gonna take for you to let us stay here? I'll give you as many sauce kits as you want. What do you want? He's like, all right, let me get like 10 sauce kits or something like that. I'm like, done. All right, go. He's like, bring them up to my office. put him out to his office. We set up, had the whole area for the whole Stanley Cup. And just
No
boom.
way.
And I mean,
So
this is like
sick.
an activation. Like they had like a huge activation outside. They had like the big screens out there. So we didn't go into the game. We just stayed outside the whole time.
Right.
I mean, it just funneled so many people asking. We're handing out, koozies, coupons. So many people talking about it. To then we even took it to the next level. So like during that big screen like there, I just pulled the wagon right down it. Like, and everyone's cheering. We're throwing out koozies to people. I pull the wagon right in front of it, like where the stage is and stuff like that. I just pull it right there, and then I'm like, we start talking. Everyone's loving it because we're just throwing them free stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was hilarious. But then I get up to the lady. I'm like, yeah, they told us we're gonna be giving away free sauce kits to the people. So like, then the person on the mic's up there like, all right, we're giving away free sauce kits. Da, da, da. And like, we just made the whole thing about sauce kit. It was all the spur of the moment. Decided to drive the day before. Again, you had to pay for gas and hotel that night and the giveaway stuff. But overall, everything we reached, especially during all the hype, when you have like a town or city like that that's in the Stanley Cup, like they're all hyped about hockey. They're gonna buy. So yeah, I can track that. I would see. Pittsburgh did amazing that month in sales.
And you just made that the story of their Stanley Cup experience.
Yes.
It's like sauce kit being at the Stanley Cup and throwing out free stuff.
Yeah.
It was just a blast. So things like that, you can, again, I think, the wagon does make it look very like professional. So you can't just like be pulling up in anything, so we had our
Can't
things
pull up an old flow over there.
it might be. It might be.
Did you see our in-road or our on-road advertising is the window marker on the back? And then we have
That,
like
three pieces of paper.
Yeah, 3 pieces of paper. I made that on the road. I was just like, like trying to draw it. Dude, people still at us on the road
I know, it
all the
works.
Oh, I
time.
bet.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean that wagon, the Volkswagen, that's iconic. Like
Catches
it is.
some eyes for sure.
Yeah, Flo's a shaggin' wagon.
That's the name, Flo. Nice.
Yeah. Florence, full name. Yeah. Call her Flo. That's the original name though. Like that's what the old owner named her.
Really?
And then we were gonna possibly change it. What was it between? It was like Florence, Shelby,
and Jackie.
Nice.
Because like Jack of Trades, you're like Jackie might work. And then we were gonna ask people and have them vote on it kind of thing, and just like go around to like random strangers and be like, what should we name our van? But like then we were like doing it leading up to that video, and we must have asked like 12 people,
At least,
every
yeah.
single one of them said Florence. So
Really?
we were like, I don't
Okay.
even. It's not
Yeah.
even. It's
Yeah.
Florence.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
And it fits in exactly what you guys are doing. You guys are just flowing.
Yeah, we're just
You're
going with the
with
flow.
it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even know we would still be in like Illinois right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
I don't even know. Well, we're going to the dunes. That's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Yes. That'll be nice.
Well, by the time this comes out, we'll already have ridden the dunes. Guys, we're 1 week ahead on the podcast
Yeah.
right now. That's an
This
exciting
is so
thing.
sick.
Thanks to Vinny Sauce.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Lowers the stress a bit.
I know, actually, because the day of podcast, they're not stressful, but it's just like,
We're like, oh shit.
okay, sit down and do it.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
slowly figuring out workflow. Like, I'm sure that's something. Actually, this is another question. I feel like I could ask you questions and sit here all day,
Yeah.
like, honestly. But the workflow, like when when you're doing this startup, at the beginning it's just you.
Yes.
And then it's like, I'm sure there are certain aspects of the company that maybe you don't enjoy doing like as much as others. And so then when did you decide to expand like your company or your workforce, people that you were employing? And like, how did you decide to do it? Like, did you kind of hire someone to do the jobs that you hated the most, like right away? Or like, how did that work?
Yeah. So yeah, in the beginning, I did everything. And I was working a full-time gig, so it was nights and weekends. I'd be obviously doing all the social media, all the business aspects, but then I'd be going on nights and the weekends and packing all the packages, shipping them all out, doing all that stuff. And yeah, I did not like it. I did not like working at the warehouse, things like that. But I did it. And again, I would just work like Christmas season. I'd be working to the night. And in the beginning, I would just start bringing on friends, family. Luckily, I come from a family business, so again, I was lucky, and I live locally with a lot of my family lives here. So, yeah, it was family, even my grandma, my brother, my friends. So I would pull them in during the busy seasons, and then after that, I started trying to find people that were better than me at those things I didn't want to do or wasn't good at. I just love sales and marketing. that's what I wanted to do. Like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, really. I like creating, and I like video editing a little bit too and stuff like that, but like, really, I love the sales and marketing aspects. So I was like, all right, how can I just put myself in those positions so that I know if I'm just doing those, I'll bring in enough money to handle everything.
Yeah.
And it was honestly similar to even when I worked at technology jobs. A lot of these jobs was like, it would be like sales and account management. But whatever job I was there for like a month or two, I would be like, just give me an account manager and I'm going to sell more than 3 people. So even though, it's like, they'd be like, oh, why don't you sell these and manage? I'm like, no, I'm a hunter. Just let me go sell.
Yeah.
Let me give someone that can manage it for me, and I'll sell more than if 3 people were all doing those things.
Right.
And I would just do that. So then they would change the positions around for the jobs. So I knew that I could do this. It was a proven track record. But that's what I was like, all right, so how can I do this? So I'd bring in, I'm kind of like workflow. I'm an outside sales guy, so I can work anywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm used to that. I used to travel all the country, just working in my car. So, like, I'm not even that big of, like, an office guy. Like, I do have an office, and sometimes I do grind it out there, but I like to work anywhere. Like, you see me this morning, I was laying in the sun on the yoga mat doing yoga working this morning.
Right.
With my kids running around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I was always like that. But really going in, I needed someone that was organized. Like, I need people around me that are organized and are very, like,
fucking need that too.
very, like, like, they knock stuff out. They know how to do it. So I always knew I needed that. And luckily, I was able to find, someone I met in San Francisco that when I was in a tech company, brought him on. He was just such an organized man. He's just so good at all this stuff, knocking shit out for me. Giving
This is someone you
tasks.
met at a tech company?
Yeah, like
Okay.
while I was living out in San Francisco.
Okay.
He was working for a different tech company, and we hit it off. We started doing other business together, and then I was like, yeah, brought him on, just part time, things like that. Then I started, instead of like creating my own whole warehouse, I actually heard the term fulfillment center on Shark Tank. Like, I'm sure everyone loves that show.
Yeah.
I heard the term fulfillment center, and I was like, what is that? Looked it up, went and met with a bunch of ones around Chicago. Luckily, we're in like a great hub for that. And I had to convince them to, because most of these companies don't want to work with you until you're doing like thousands of packages a month.
Right.
I had to I went to met with a bunch of them. I had to convince this one company when I was only doing, a couple hundred, maybe 500 packs a month to work with me. So I convinced them to work with me. Now we're like their biggest client.
Right. And so now, like, thank
6
God
years
you
later.
freaking convinced me.
Yes. And so then that took a huge weight off my shoulders because the fulfillment was something that was very stressful for me. So
Yeah.
like it was like the better I did a good job of selling, the more I had to spend in the warehouse.
Right. It's
which
the more
is not what I
stressful.
wanna do.
Yeah, it's like the I feel that.
I was like this push tug, and I would bring people in. I think some things like I still have, like I said, my one of my best friends, Mike. He still works with me. He's again very organized, amazing worker. But in the beginning stages, you will run through a lot of times of getting your friends to work with you. A lot of them won't work out, but it all So I went through a period of that, and then I started to realize, okay, I need to hire people that are better than me, professionals, like this fulfillment center, or like someone that can run something like the Amazon that knows how to do it, or whatever it is. Like Mike now, he's like my spider web. He's amazing. Like he does customer service logistics. So all the customer service, all the logistics, he's just on top of all.
Like he's who's on Hockey Sauce Gets Instagram.
Yeah, so he's like doing a lot, and I'll be on there messaging too and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know if I'm talking to you or Mike. I'm like,
yes,
cool.
exactly. Yeah. So he's going to the messages. I do all the posting, all the social media, all that stuff, and I'll get on the messages too. Now we have so many messages, so it becomes a little bit overwhelming sometimes.
Right.
It's like so many messages coming at once for me. Because I try to stay more in that like creative flow, like kind of a flow. Like I'm big on the flow. I want to keep my mind in that creating like mode.
Right.
I want to keep it flowing. Sometimes if I open that up and I see all that, it gets a little overwhelming.
100%.
And I'm like, whoa, like, and then I will rip through it, but then by the time I'm already thinking about all those things.
Yeah.
When it's like his job is straight. He knows everything: customer service, logistics, and fulfillment. So he sees that more than me.
Right.
So like he can see, he knows that shipping out. He knows this and this product's coming there. Like he's a little. So it's like he focuses all on that. It just works better, and then I just focus more on creating.
Right.
So it takes a little while to get all that figured out, and you'll have people that will drop off, too. Like my bookkeeper, my accountants, things like that. I have to find a new one right now.
Oh, really?
My cousin, he was phenomenal. He worked in the banking industry, but he just started his own company and started taking off. So he's like, I don't have the time to do yours. So you do have to like consistently replace things like that. Right. So that's like, and as you grow, more, you might have to do more and more. But yeah, I think that's the key. Finding people that are better than you at that job and like doing it too.
Right.
And then just bringing it all in the team together.
That's like, yeah, because it's like it's tough right now. Like, there's definitely certain things that I don't enjoy doing. I like editing to an extent. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like I'm a pretty good video editor, but like sitting down to edit a vlog and cutting down like 5 hours of footage to like 10-15 minutes, hate it. Cannot stand cutting film. Mm-hmm. Like I like taking 5 minutes of footage and making like a sick 1 minute montage. Yes. Like that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
Or telling a story in 1 minute is even better. Like I love doing voiceover work and like having fast transitions, fast cuts. But that stuff don't totally love. Like when I just did like a small order of buttery hockey shirts, I was like, I hated nothing more than putting those things in like packages and like shipping them out. Even though it's like kind of cool, like but it's like I just hated like spending that time when I was like, okay, I have this to edit, this to edit, this to edit. Yeah. At the time I was working like 3 different like freelance jobs. Yep. And then also trying to make like personal content, and I was like, dude, fuck putting these shirts in this. I'm so happy that they bought them and they're gonna rep it. Yes. But I fucking hate shipping them out. But that's like what we're kind of balancing out now. Is like, we occasionally will send this kid. MS Films actually makes like a lot of hockey montage stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, we occasionally will. He'll like, so he started adding some of our vlogs, so we'll be sending him some stuff weekly. But like for example, like this week's vlog, like we didn't cut it nearly in time, so it's like that's on us, Yeah. So like, otherwise we'd be getting charged like through the roof because it's just like too much to do in too little time, Yeah. But when you don't have a lot of money, like. Right now, we basically, I would say, like, all of our personal funds are tied up in, like, travel. Yep. There's no, like, expendable cash to be like, hey, come on, like, could you be our assistant, like, help us stay organized, like, let us know when we have to hit these points, maybe schedule posts for us, something like that. Like, yeah, but we can't pay you, So it's like, what is, right now, the only thing, like, that we actually have, like, when we are talking about working with someone possibly, is, like, well, down the line, if it's bigger, then it can turn into something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But
yeah, but I think that's value. You're still adding value. I mean, I did that. I still do that, and I've done that in the past too. It's like you can still give them value. It's saying, okay, I'm gonna give you credit and tag you for all this stuff, and say you're the editor. I'm gonna plug you on, so that again can span off into more work. I mean, I can't tell you how many video people we've worked with over the years that, especially in the beginning, maybe didn't pay as much or didn't pay or anything like that, but then us tagging them and stuff like that got them so much more business.
Yeah.
And then once we did get bigger, then I did start putting them on.
Right.
Like even my the guy we worked in the beginning, Hatch 86 Films. I mean, he had just got out of college. I was just starting the company. He just vibed with like what we were doing. He was a hockey guy. He was a California guy. We were playing on the beach in Cali because in the beginning, all our videos were Cali because I was like, I knew hockey on the beach, girls, it's gonna draw attention. Right. Like of course. Simple. Hockey guys, that's perfect. And he just like he vibed with it. So he even said like, I'll come do the first video like pro bono or like I was cheap, like way cheaper than something like that. But then we've worked with him for 7-8 years now and paid him thousands of dollars, and he blew up too. I mean, he does music. He's like a music video guy. I mean, he does music videos. Little John, G-Eazy now. I mean, he turned in massive. So he's blowing up, but we still work together all the time, and he was like my go-to editor for a while. It still is, but he's doing a lot of big things, and honestly, a lot of our stuff now is kind of just like phone stuff and like a lot less of the commercial stuff that we used to do. But in the beginning years, again, like those ads we were running on Facebook. We were like the first, not only the first hockey companies to be running ads, but we were using drones. Yeah. It's 8 years ago on the beach. We were using these different things that no one was using in these commercials. So it really was like, whoa, this is legit. And we needed to make it look legit back then because people weren't as susceptible to buy on Facebook yet. Right. They were still a little skeptical.
That's what you're saying. Yeah. It's like early in the in the digital buying stage.
Yeah. So they're like, is this? But like you come out and you have this like clean cut, crisp commercial, professional drone shots, all these things. It made it that more like, oh, this is legit.
Right.
You know, and then we'd on our website we'd have, you know, like all the features like NBC, NHL, Bleacher Report, #1 game. You know, you put all those things in it just to like lock it in, and it did awesome.
What's up?
What's up, bro?
Still gaming over there.
So I think that's in the beginning, you know, and finding maybe the kids or some people that like are early in the game, putting them on, you know, and getting them to do stuff, and then once you guys do make it stuff, then you do put them on, you know, and you help them out. So it's like, but during that, you can still offer them value because you guys have a lot of followers, even on your personals, all your socials. Right. We can still plug them, and they could also put it in their portfolio too. So you know, we would bring a lot of people on to like different events that we did too, and then they can use that as their portfolio from like a videographer standpoint. So like, I worked with these guys that did this, and that gets them so much more business and jobs too.
It's true. Yeah. Thinking about it's like at this point, dude, our following and clout and like experience is almost just as valuable, if not more, than money. It's like it's more long term value than anything.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna add followers on, the first time I was associated with Hockey Sauce Kit, I was the bottle cap challenge. I sauced that bottle cap off of like a Gatorade bottle or something.
Yes.
And I got reposted on Sauce Kit and gained like 200 followers or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, I wasn't like making hockey content really at that point. I was just making like vlogs. Like,
I remember that,
vlogs. And then kind of started making more hockey content. Like did the day in the lives with college teammates and stuff. And like, those kind of took off. The ones like we got 140,000 views on YouTube. I've never done that before. Like that's crazy.
Yes.
For like
clap bomb challenge.
We started doing the clap bombs, dude. Everyone freaking loved those. I'm like, if you love them so much, why do they don't get a lot of views? You know, like if they're that good, why aren't they blowing up? Like people are always in the comments. It's been like a year since I've done a clap bomb. People will be in my TikTok comments like, "When's the next clap bomb?"
The OGs are like, yeah, they love it.
I'm like, jeez, I'm like still after those. I'm like I might have a couple buried on my hard drive. Let me go look. You know.
I remember those. Your front yard.
Dude, those are hilarious. Cause Kate, my older brother, would just chirp the crap out of my sister, and she would go back at him. My sister's probably better than all of us, but she can't shoot as hard as us. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like. That's our one time true chirper. There was one actually. It was all three brothers like were there, and Haley wasn't there. They're like, "Why isn't Haley here?" I was like, "Oh, she's like doing something with Team USA, whatever. Like this is better."
She's missing out.
Yeah. Oh my god, but it's good. It's good.
But,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of just would say like, yeah, I think, and it goes down the line too. It's like just like the plugs of that, but then I've had some big account, like I said, like you say, Dude Perfect, or these other accounts that did the same thing, for me, and it just continues to reciprocate itself, and like sometimes you could push too hard too, like kind of if I can even tell a story about the Dude Perfect, like they kept plugging it, like just like using it, I should say, not plugging it, but then I was trying to say like, hey, I see you guys got Nerf and stuff like that. We're doing custom kits. Why don't we do a run of Dude Perfect custom kits?
Yeah.
And like sell them on your website. You can have whatever, name your cut, whatever. So I approached them, didn't hear anything for like a week, and then their lawyer reached out to me and was like, "No, we don't want to do it, and you have to take down all the Dude Perfect stuff on your website."
Wait, really?
And I was like, I didn't answer, and he's like, a couple days later, you have to remove all the Dude Perfect stuff on your website. And I'm just having I just said seen on Dude Perfect, and I had clips of their trick shots, just so he's like, you have to move down. So I was like,
but they were using your product. I don't get how's that even possible?
Yeah. He's just like, they don't want to do the thing. They don't want to do it. I was like, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. He's like, and you got to take. And I didn't answer at first. And he's like, no, you have to
try
take it
to
down.
ignore him.
Yeah,
I didn't see
that.
that.
Brush that off. Brush that one off. So then I was like, yeah. So then I'm like, all right, fine. I was like, took it down. Email him back. I was like, okay, yeah, I took it down. And he's like, all right, thank you. And I never heard from him back. A week later, I just put everything back up.
Yeah.
Never heard anything back.
That still blows my mind that you wouldn't be able to just take that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I get it they're just trying to protect their brand. I see it from a standpoint of that. But again, so that's like
Right, but it is your brand as well.
yeah, it was just like their videos or like their logo saying "seen on." They didn't want to, unless they were like associated making money on. Which again, I tried to have them make money. I wanted them to.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So sometimes you know, like I said, that's a story of like, okay, push. I obviously haven't reached out. My new plan now is just to camp outside their fantasy factory and challenge them to a sauce off. Like
That'd
me
be
and
sick.
Zach
That would be
Bell.
sick.
Zach Bell wants to come with me.
They just send the lawyer out.
Yeah, like no, I'm like no, we ain't leaving. We're sleeping in the sauce wagon until you battle us.
Dude, you wouldn't lose if you bring Zach Bell. I mean, he's
that was
like
gonna
so
crush.
cool. What was the story that they had in the Canadian network?
Sportsnet.
Yeah, it was like he's like, what is it? He's a samurai.
Oh
Hockey
yeah,
samurai, or-
hockey Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, we'll crush them. They're not even hockey guys, you know, like, but they do a good job. No, but I'm saying like sometimes, yeah, it's okay though too. I'm like, I'm still glad I tried to get them to. At least I know now that they don't. And who knows? I mean, like, again, I might do that or it draws enough buzz that they end up do wanting to do it.
Right.
Or if not, whatever. I mean, like,
You planted the seed. And
the
like,
seed.
and you learn from a quote unquote failure, even though it wasn't really a failure. It's like you're learning from it. That's something that we're definitely trying to like live by. Is like every failure, every ugly part of life has something beautiful, something positive that you can take from it.
Definitely.
And so it's 100% the outlook you have on it. Like you could have looked at them and been like, oh fuck, like, you know, I wanted to collab with these guys and like they hate me like this.
Yeah.
No, but instead it's like, well, it's at least it's in their mind now. At least they're maybe thinking about it.
Yep.
And then maybe if we get a little bit more buzz, this can happen.
Exactly.
And you learn about like, you know, pushing and whatever the boundaries are. But if you never asked that question, you wouldn't have learned any of that. And you wouldn't have had the
Exactly.
seed planted.
And yeah, that's. I mean, you learn so much. Cam, we never stopping, bro. We're
going
flowing, my
straight
man.
through the day.
We're flowing. But yeah, you learn more from the failures. You know, like you learn definitely. And sometimes even the failures or like little mistakes can turn out to be good things. Like even the story I was telling you guys before. Like again, going back to the Facebook and Instagram advertising. You know, this is like early stages when I was like being really meticulous with the advertising. One thing's so yeah, going the so Facebook, Instagram advertising. It was going to like sometimes a mistake can turn into something good. It was Thanksgiving right before Black Friday. I was doing an ad. I had put $200, meant to put $200, actually put $2,000 for the daily spend. Then ate, at Thanksgiving, but didn't look at it, just like, eating with my family, things like that. And then like I pop on it after, like a little later in the night. I'm like, holy cow, like I messed up. But in turn, it sold, 10 times what I spent. And I never would have probably took that risk. Then I was like, oh, man, okay. So then I literally just kept it going for the next like 12 days until I sold out. Because it was just selling so much.
Yeah. And then you legit sold out in 12 days.
Yeah, so I sold out way early. And I had like more, again, I had more stock than I ever had. So I was like, but I was like, damn, like, and then from that, I was like, gave me the confidence to then like be more aggressive with the advertising.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's important. You don't want to be too aggressive in the beginning, especially when you have like only a certain amount of budget you need to be able to spend. But this time it paid off, and then it gave me the confidence. Every year I just kept going bigger because Black Friday, Cyber Monday, everyone's in the mood to buy. My product's a Christmas present.
Are more people like online ready to buy then and then like closer to Christmas even? Like is that like the ideal time?
That is the best weekend every year.
Yeah.
Every year, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, those are the two best days, and then the weekend, Saturday, Sunday are killer too.
Yeah.
But the best days for I mean. Again, our product is the perfect Christmas present for like any age from 2 to 100.
We did that Christmas video with that kid.
Yes,
in
unboxing.
Rochester.
Yes,
dude, he was freaking out.
What's up, muchacho?
Hey, muchacho, muñe.
Ken's fired up. We got a nice little workout this morning.
Yeah.
Little outdoor workout.
The blood pumping. He was beating the crap out of Bob.
Century Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, Cam?
You're a beast, Cam.
It's weird. He's wordless today, but yesterday he couldn't stop talking.
Yeah. It's sushi. He was the life of the party.
Yeah. He had plates up against his ears, and he was just blah 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 blah.
Ooh, there you go, buddy.
Oh man, it was good. we were flowing for a bit there. I think might be our longest podcast, not gonna lie. But it didn't feel like a long podcast
No, yeah,
just because we were just going,
Flowing.
which is good. That's
Yes.
good. That hopefully didn't feel like a long podcast for anyone listening either, which I don't think it will be. And you are our first like legit guest,
Nice.
which is dope.
Solid.
Didn't happen until episode 9, but
Thanks, boys. Love it.
so, dude, yeah, it's good picking your brain. Like you don't talk about it a lot because you're also there's so many other sides to you that we didn't even get into, like just as far as like energy and like doing yoga classes and like centering yourself and stuff like that, like essential oils and stuff. Like I see like some on your counter.
Yes.
If I'm not
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just used, like, right before this podcast, I used one that's for the solar plex that helps with, like, confidence, and, like, you went for the throat to help get your, helps get your, like, your voice out in the right ways, and, like, a lot of the energy work and stuff like that. So I'm definitely into that. It's, it's helped me through the hard, through hard times and be able to center yourself. It's powerful, so I love that stuff. So that's some of the things I'd love, I'm thankful to be able to express, like, the entrepreneur side, the health side, being a dad, all these
you have
things.
another, like, business kind of that you're starting to do with essential oils, or is it, like...
So, yeah, something I used to actually, 4 years ago, I was in the cannabis business. So I actually had my own farm out in Colorado, too, with some partners.
Okay.
And it was really into this, like, organic, growing it in the right way medicinally.
Yeah.
Same way in the food industry, whereas like everyone's trying to pump the foods up and this and that, spray pesticides. Same thing happens in the cannabis industry or supplement industries and all these things like that. So that was something we just built a really organic line, all like land raised strains, which is like strains where they're all like weren't crossed with anything.
Gotcha.
So we did that for 3 years, then we sold it. And that's how but I wanted to transfer, when I sold it, I transferred like the concept of back here, and we sell CBD products, which was a little aspect of it. Really, it's called the Conscious Healing Company. And it's really about bringing everyone together, doing the things like this, yoga festivals, farm to table dinners.
Yeah.
It's more transitioned into an events company. We sell supplements and stuff too.
Right.
But really, events, bringing a community together. And I really just brought it home here to Chicago, from where I'm from. I had lived on the West Coast, lived in California, Colorado, Arizona, and I really got into all this stuff out there.
Okay.
And
so you weren't ever living out there, though? You were just traveling out there?
So when that business, I had a house, like the house and the farm in Colorado. I didn't live there full time,
Gotcha.
But I had people here that lived there that lived out there.
Gotcha.
But before that, when I worked technology, I lived in San Francisco for a
Okay.
year. I lived in San Diego for 6 months, Scottsdale 6 months, and I got into all that stuff. But I was feeling the calling to bring it back here. Like I almost opened a yoga studio out here and stuff like that too. But I end up not. I focused on this, and I really was like, kind of like the warrior's journey of bringing the medicine back. Like it's like go out there, you learn a lot of things, and you come back. If you learn about the warrior's journey, look it up. You come back and you serve the medicine for where you're from.
Yeah.
So that's really what the focus on that is, and so we work with all the yoga studios, juice places, a lot of these things. Just starting to develop it. Obviously, the whole quarantine thing kind of put a little damper on it,
Right.
but things are starting to pick back up.
But the quarantine is also a reason I feel like that a lot of people started getting interested in it.
True.
And we talked about that yesterday with Mike.
Yeah.
Because it was like, that's the reason I think that I got into it. I mean, I was like 25 pounds heavier in college, and like because of quarantine, I like got in better shape.
Yeah.
And I started thinking just about, like, I guess it might have been reading that really started it. Like, I'm not sure exactly
100%.
what it was. It was a book that was suggested to me, I think, when I was out in California. A friend that I met out there, like another TikToker.
What book was it?
Oh man, I'll have to get the title. I have it in the van. Actually.
Yeah. You
Like
were telling me
with
Untethered Soul?
Untethered Soul.
That's it.
That's
You
what
were
it was,
telling me about it. Yes.
And then right after that, I read like the Internet Engineering by Sadhguru.
Yes.
Untethered Soul was like the one that just like
game
totally
changer.
changed me.
Yes.
And then Internet Engineering was good, but there was a lot of like yogi terms that I wasn't familiar with, so it was a little bit more difficult to read. Now I'm reading the 7 Spiritual Steps of Success.
Yeah,
and that was like a Mike like suggested that. That was like what changed. That was like the book for him that really like changed everything.
Nice.
But like reading these books and then like just going about your day, not thinking too much of it, but like you're conscious of what you just read, you know, like what the authors are trying to communicate to you, and then you're like seeing these things happen like in right away, like in the day, and you're like, how did I never notice these things?
The awareness.
And being self-aware and just like we said it ourselves, like we feel like we've gotten so much better just at reading like energy and like feeling energy, almost to the point where sometimes it like is bad because I don't get anxious, but I'm like
when you
whoa.
feel it, and you're like,
I'm like,
oh,
there's
shit.
bad energy right here. Like I need to get out of this area. Like it makes me feel like weird. Like I don't need to be here.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
It's buddy.
I hope the mic can pick that up. He's asking if Vinny can get inside.
Yeah, with little Cam. But I think yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like books. Hey, chill out, bro. Hey.
You go inside.
Yeah, you can go inside. But books, I think, like you said, books have been such a game changer for me. I wish I would have gotten books earlier, but when I was like 18, like honestly, after high school is when I got into all the books, and I started this like. Now you look in there, I have this like a ton of them.
Right. Yeah.
But I would not be the person I was. Business, spirituality, any of these things without the books I read.
Right.
Like they completely shaped me and opened up my world to so many different things that you never would have been able to see, or like and saved me from so many different mistakes that I would have made too, even in the business world. So you if anything that you're going through, whether it's hard or if you're trying to go somewhere in life, there's someone else that has done it. So why not read their books and learn from them so that you can project yourself already higher than you would have done.
Right.
It's all there. We have all the information you can imagine in the world now, and it's accessible. So it's like picking those ones, and then you also might go back to those. Like books I read that, again, if like going through a hard time or something like that, you can go back to Untethered Soul and just like tap into those things.
Yeah.
Like I'm big on highlighting certain pages and things like that, so I can go back and be like, hey, this helped me then. And you might even like perceive things a little bit differently because you've grown and become that. You see more. Like I said, your awareness grows.
Right.
Your perception of energy. And I think one of the things you said, one of these, I started doing a lot of workshops and like yoga stuff and going to see healers and stuff like that. I was going through a hard time. Oh, don't fall, buddy. And so, yeah, and I remember one of the most things that I asked this one guy that I seen, he was like a boss. I was like saying those same things, like, maybe 5 years ago about that energy. I'm like, I feel like I'm so much more open now, but I can sense something. I'm like, how do you feel? Like, do you still have those things? Or do you still feel that way? He's like, I used to. But now he's like, no. He's like, I just imagine like a ball of energy around me that nothing can penetrate me. I can feel it, I can sense it, but nothing can get through that. He's like, my energy is just like stronger than that. And the way he said it, and the way like he like looked at that little smile, I was like, wow, all right, that's where I want to go.
Where no one else's energy is going to affect you.
Yeah,
I still feel that. Like other people's energy can definitely still like affect how I'm feeling.
Yes.
It would be amazing to get to that point where it's just like you're you and it's just unaffected. I mean, that's like the goal, right? So to get to the point where the outside isn't affecting you.
Yes.
And you're worrying about the controllables. And
what you
nothing on
can
the outside is controlled.
Yeah.
And the other thing you kind of open up too is like, even on those moments like of having compassion for other people, like that maybe aren't as open or haven't had the opportunities to become as aware.
Right.
So like instead of a way of like, because I would do that too. I'd be like, I kind of like was going through a spiritual thing. I just pushed everyone away. And sometimes you need to just go into kind of like your own little seclusion and like really dive in. But then when I started coming back out of it was like having the compassion. Like even nowadays, like now, like I see people that are wearing like masks outside, and like I'm just like I have compassion for them, that I feel bad for them, that they're just that scared.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like, I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry that you like, cause like that you're bottled up in your own jail of your mind.
Right. So you're that's literally Sadhguru wrote about that.
Yeah.
It's like you go into the middle of the field because you want to explore nature, but then you find something in nature you're scared of, so you build a house.
Yes.
But then there's something else you're scared of, so then you build curtains for your windows, and then all of a sudden you're like in a box that's dark. You went out there to see nature, but you're so scared of a few things that now you've completely jailed yourself into this like prison that was self-made. That's what our minds are.
That's
it
crazy.
is. It's the truth. And even if we're recognizing it in other people, that means it's like it's somewhere within ourselves too. You know, like that's the awareness itself. But I think that's some of the things that have helped me too. Is like when you're feeling compassion, instead of like judging or something like that. Like, and I'm obviously not perfect. I still judge and stuff like that. But having the compassion, not only is it feels better for you too, because like you're not like projecting or perceiving or anything. You're just like, I feel for you. I'm compassion. It's almost like kind of like untethered soul. You're like keeping your heart open. You know, like that book is so good about always tracking if your heart's open.
Yeah.
You know, when I was reading that book, I was like, holy cow, how many times a day did my heart shut off?
Right.
You know, and obviously it's done because we were trying to protect ourselves and whatever.
Yeah,
you know, like
from the past a lot of times.
yeah, like you know, we were kids. We had to go through school and things like that. And not everything's all perfect and all these things or whatever it is. Like, so you know, we did that to shelter ourselves by shutting it. You know, but then now that we're mature and we're aware now, you don't have to. You can just be as open. You know,
Right.
like and. So that book really helped that, like just that simple thing of like just track, you know when you're feeling of your heart's open, you know when it's off or it's shutting off. Track that throughout a whole day, and just notice it. And don't judge yourself, don't beat yourself up. Just be like, oh, it's okay, that's what I'm doing. But then just living more open with that, you know, giving your family real hugs and being open, all those things. Those like things are
touches,
just
dude. Touches.
touches.
Like,
Yes.
100%. Like we're meant to touch other human beings. It's not like, you know, like that's like a normal thing where you're getting energy, good energy from other people.
Yes. Yeah, the kids tell me that a lot. These little guys. That's what I say about like being a dad. Like they teach you more than we even teach them. Like without a doubt. You know, it's almost like another book I like. It's like Unlearning, I believe it is. But yeah, it's like a lot of. Sometimes we don't need to learn everything. Sometimes we just need to unlearn and go back to like how you see. I mean, you guys have been with the last couple days. Like these 3-year-olds. I mean, they just love life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're happy. Just they're just like it's their true selves. Like I love it. You silly guy.
I love it. In Untethered Soul, he talks a lot about letting energy pass through you. Yes. Like that. I love how he talks about that, because even like the really bad energy and the good energy, like not being attached to an outcome. Which is now like when I'm reading this 7 spiritual steps to success.
Yeah.
Is like a lot of times as human beings, like we get attached to an outcome. We have this idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, this is the end goal, so I'm going to make this happen. And then you go on this pathway, which can go a million different directions, because, you know, there's a million paths to get everywhere. But you're so attached to that outcome, even though, like, something might have came up that'll be better than the outcome. It'll be better than what you pictured before, but it's a little bit different. Yeah. But you're so attached to that first thing you thought of that you're just willing to do anything. You're destroying, like, the journey that you're on, this path that you're on to get there.
Yes.
And like a lot of people are still, I mean, I still get attached to outcomes. Like and that's like, you know, followers and like seeing those things go up, like that doesn't help with that, because you're like, you know, you're attached to growing this much, or you're attached to like getting this level of audience. But like at least being self-aware of it is like some sort of progress. Where I have friends where it's like friends in relationships who are like, they'll be in this relationship that in their mind was, you know, a beautiful thing, like someone that they were interested in for a long time, and then now you're both just like clinging on to something that's like
the idea of it all.
Literally
the idea.
like and I'm just like, this is just neither of you are gonna end up being happy with this, but if this is what it takes for you all to learn that, then you know this is what it takes. So
definitely 100%. And that's life, man. Like you said, it's like it's okay to have those goals. Like I think it's important to have goals, set them stuff, but it's okay to be able to adapt and shift along the way. You know, and I think that's mastery in itself, of knowing when to shift or to stay on target and keep fighting through it. I think that's mastery of ourselves. I think that's what getting to know yourself and, you know, working on yourself and doing these types of practices, like for me, like meditations or things like that, where I need to ground myself. I'm a creative guy. I like to travel. I'm always on the move. I can't I always have to be active doing, like, I always am like in motion. For me, this is not for everyone. Grounding practices every day help me stay centered and help me get clear of where I want to go and where I'm going. It's been
Yeah.
so helpful.
So let me ask you this, because this is something that now I'm like personally starting to not struggle with, but just like feel struggles with balancing it, I guess. Is like, where do you draw the line between Vinny Sauce, the businessman, the guy who's going to get stuff done, the entrepreneur, and Vinny Sauce, like the one, who's grounded, connected with the universe, connected with the cosmos. Where does that balance come? Because when I feel like I'm like most connected is also when I feel like I might be not as productive.
Yes.
You know
definitely.
what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it goes ebbs and flows. Like I'm like I get really like set on something. I'm like all or nothing. So like I'm probably more of a person that like I've kind of gotten rid of the idea of balance. I used to try to do all that stuff. Like I need to balance this, and it was like that felt too like restrained in my days of like every day has to be balanced. I tried that and it didn't work. I know me that I'm like a sprinter, and then I need recovery. So like I will just crush. I'll work whatever 16-hour days, whatever as many, and then I'll say that I do that for a week or two or even longer if I need months, whatever. I'll still do my grounding practice, stuff like that, but like then I'll realize I'll have times where it's like way more of that, where it's way more like days are mostly with the boys and nature, this like, and so I've learned that like I like to sprint when because I get really focused on something. It's like go, and then I'll need like recovery time. And it kind of almost goes in with sports too, like like I can relate to that too. When you're training for something for that like playoffs and championship, and then you got that downtime. So I've learned that's how it works for me. And something that doesn't mean like it could be like, again, now my new flow of things like this is like I have my kids half the week. I still work every day. I still do other things, but most of those 3.5 days are a lot more geared focus with the kids. Then the other days, straight like grind, like all business, all that thing. It's like way more of that. And take care of my body, all those things. All that's important. But that could shift. Everything, they're going to be in school soon. Like everything's always shifting and stuff like that. But for me, that's knowing your style and how you like to do things. And that's what I think has helped me. Is like I realize that when I'm feeling inspired, when I feel those times, I'm like, don't fight it. Don't be like, oh, you need to do a little more balance. Like, no, you're feeling it. Feed into it. Go for it. And then when you go too hard, which I always do, like in anything pretty much. Used to be a lot of injuries in hockey or training. Then I recovered. But now I've learned to catch myself before that happens. I'm more aware now to be like, oh, okay, like, ooh, we need to like slow it down a little bit and take a little more recovery. We need to detach for a day. We need to do, or half a day or whatever for the night. I need to put my phone on airplane mode for this the night. And I'll wake up feeling just so recharged. So things like that have worked for me. Like all or nothing sometimes,
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good, but I feel like that's like the same as like I could never work on a paper in college that's due 3 weeks from now, Like, oh, do a little bit here, do a little bit there. I'm writing that bitch the night before.
Exactly.
And I'm doing the whole thing.
Yes.
And I'm going to fucking get an A on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I learned, and that's almost like it makes you, like that type of pressure helps you perform better.
Yes.
And that's what I've realized. Sometimes I even try to create these scenarios in my life superficially so that I can do it.
Yeah.
So we create, like we even subconsciously we do it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But it's okay, that's
actually
how we
crazy,
produce.
yeah. No, that's how our brains work, right?
Yeah.
I used to literally say it to people. They're like, why haven't you started this yet? I'm like, because I can't write it. Cam's currently running over Bob with the car.
Taking it to the next level. And even just looking at my son right now, I'm just laughing. Like something that I want to touch on too that I always think about now is that like we can play like sometimes sometimes you have to. Sometimes you get really serious. You gotta get in business mode, and even sometimes the days where like I have to kind of be a dickhead, and you have to make things happen. But most of the time, especially in the creative world, playing more, having fun, playing. That's so important, I think. But then there's also days where you there might be a whole day where it's just stacked full of like putting out fires, and I'm being like I have to be a dickhead those days. Like I almost try to stack those together,
right?
Because
so
I realized
a couple of days of being a dickhead, and then you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, like I knock all this shit off, like did all this shit. I'm like, okay, because I really realized, even understanding more like from Joe Dispenza and the brain stuff, that like we live in different parts of our mind. So like when we're in our creative flow and all that stuff, we're actually all the blood and everything's flowing to that side. So letting that stay in there, I want to stay in that. So then when I need to go to other like analytical, like all these other things,
Trying
like,
to switch back and forth.
yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It's not. We're fighting against it. It doesn't work as good. Where if I can just stay in that mode for as long as I need to, and then I think I've tried to figure that out, and that Dr. Joe Dispenza's books have helped me massively with that stuff.
Okay.
It's another good recommendation. Yeah, buddy. Okay.
Just doing a burnout.
He's just burning out, trying to run over Bob right now. Also, guys, it's a toy car. We don't have a 3-year-old driving a real car.
Yeah.
Should mention that.
And Bob's punching dummy.
Yeah. We forgot to mention he's not a real person. You take that out of context. Oh, Cam's just running over Bob with a car. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Well, this has been a blast.
It's been wicked.
It's
dude.
like I don't even
Like,
want to
holy
end it.
shit, I was
but-
just sitting back and listening all the time.
Yeah.
This is
I know. Let's look at Chris's
good.
little dialogue thing. It's gonna peak like. It's usually when you're like talking to Cam. But,
To be continued.
Yeah,
There'll
to
be
be
another one,
continued.
yeah.
Part 2 when you get the Fantasy Factory going, and we're coming around for road trip number 2 with the Jack of Trades.
Definitely.
And hopefully we'll have a little bit more to speak for, a little bit more growth, and kind of be working on some new things, and then we can really rip it up.
Hell yeah.
We'll have a 3-hour Joe Rogan session.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Tear apart all of our new reading and everything. And then we're going to shoot it on real video in your Fantasy Factory.
Yes. It should be going. It's a process, but 6 months. Hopefully by winter time. Yeah, this winter. Hopefully that'll be happening.
Oh my gosh, that'd be sick. All right, well, that's it, guys.
podcast number 9.
Podcast number 9.
Thanks for having me.
Peace.